Booktube-A-Thon has finally come to an end, and I am pleased to report that I did finish the other two novels that I had left. If you want to see the recap of the first 4 novels and the first 5 challenges that I completed, I will link an annotation somewhere, probably over Tonks, that will have a link to short wrap-ups of each of those novels and which challenges they completed. And I still lacked a book that's older than you, and I lacked to read 7 total books. For the challenge of a book that's older than you, I ended up going with some classic science fiction, particularly the feminine future, early science fiction by women writers. This was a collection of short stories from the late 1800s through 1930, so it was definitely older than me. The book itself was published, I think, not that long ago, but I'm considering that the works were all published prior to 1930, so they totally count. This was a great collection of science fiction. I also found it really interesting which character the woman writer chose as her protagonist. There are some female leads within the different short stories, and just to be honest, I'm like 90% through with this book at the moment, but I don't have to leave for 4 more hours. Bye, Tonks. I'm the most boring person on the planet to her. I hope you find these videos more interesting than she does. Anyway, back to science fiction and female writers. The majority of the protagonists within the different short stories were men, which I don't know if they chose to do this because it would be more marketable. I don't know if they did this because it was more common at the time for the main character to be a man, but I did find it really interesting that how they wrote these characters, and also the different future technologies, because a lot of these stories were written before 1900, so they envision robot helpers like a Roomba. I mean, not as fundamental as just sweeping the floors, but things that we take for granted now, they envisioned in a future society. And also one of the short stories that was my favorite was A Collector. So I just finished Perfume, as you know, as part of this challenge. And one of the short stories for this novel was a collector. So it's a man who is collecting beauty, and he waits till a woman is at the peak of her beauty, and he thinks it's a waste on humankind for them to continue to age. So he's developed a chemical process by which their skin turns to granite, but this process, they're actually fully conscious, and it takes a year. So they're basically imprisoned within their bodies for a year, which was a story I'd never heard of. Another of my favorites from this little collection was a Benjamin Button style tale. And it is a man who is living his life backward. And he comes to a point in his life, he's married, he has children, he's extremely happy, and the love of his life dies. And that's the catalyst that from that point forward, he lives his life backward, reliving his life with her, waiting until the moment where he's a stranger to her. And I thought that was also some of just the concepts within this are just amazing. I'm actually quite impressed with this little short story collection. So if you are into feminine or the feminist perspective, or just female science fiction writers in general, or even early science fiction, this is some of the very early tales, like I said, mid-1800s. And most of them are really well done. Some of them were a little boring. Not all of them were perfect. I am not quite through yet, so I don't know about the overall rating, but I'm 90% or something, so the rating is going to be very high. I actually had marked this as read at one point, and I haven't read it. I don't know. Sorry, I'm scooting back because wrinkles and high HD is hard. I just got a new camera, and this is intense, so I'm trying not to sit so close to the camera anymore. No idea what I was talking about. Anyway, check this book out. It was great. I was super impressed. I liked the perspective. Most of the short stories were good. It's a really short read. The second book was one that I had contemplated reading. This was one that I put as kind of an alternate for a 7th book, and I did pick it up and I did go ahead and read it just because I had already downloaded it, but it was a little disappointing. So it is Weatherman, and I'll put up a link you know, like normal of the cover somewhere through here. Even the author in the afterword for this particular book says that this world is very confusing and people don't know where to start. I guess there's more than 15 novels within this universe. I don't think I've read any of the others either, but I had heard great things about the rest of the series, so I picked up this little sort of prequel as a taste, like a tasting, to see how much I liked the writing style and the world. I did like the writing style, I did like the characters, but it was just too short for me. It was, I think, under 200 pages, 160 or something like that, and while the characters were good, the placement was good, I didn't really get a lot of the terminology they were using, because I guess you should have already started the series and then gone back and read this one, because it just wasn't long enough to explain a lot of what was going on to you. I did have enough knowledge based just on this one standalone novella to, you know, get the concept of what was going on with the book, but I didn't really get the gravity of the ending, which I guess was a more big reveal sort of moment, just because I haven't read anything else in this world. So I probably will pick up another one of those books in that series soon, just so that I can see whether I like it or not. Booktube-A-Thon was a great experience. Just as a wrap up on the whole thing in general and the week of reading, it was a challenge to get this many books read in 1 week. I did choose very short books. I think my average is around 200 to 220 pages per book. Is this even still a novel? I don't know what the cutoff is for novel versus novella. It was good to pick up some things that have been laying around and kind of push myself to read more even when I'm super busy. So I think this was a great experience, and I loved seeing everyone's TBRs. That's probably my favorite thing about this whole experience. My to be read list from just watching everyone's videos and their wrap-ups and their thoughts is so much longer now, which is good. It depresses me when I add way more books than I can feasibly read in 6 months in like a week. But I thought the experience was great. I loved hearing all the comments about what everyone is reading and what they thought about what everyone else was reading, and just the reaction and the community interacting with each other. Everyone has been so welcoming, so this was a wonderful experience, and I think I'm actually going to do more read-alongs. If you didn't participate this year, you should participate next year, because it was great. Okay, that was the most long-winded 2-book wrap-up you've ever had. Ever. So I hope you stuck around this long, and if you did, thank you so much. I hope you had a great weekend and that your Booktube-A-Thon was a much bigger success than mine. I will finish the last 10%, and if you want to keep up on me actually doing that and stay after me, follow me on Goodreads and Twitter, where you get more live updates as to what I'm actually reading day to day, because it changes constantly. I will see you soon, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.